A great time to get started and kick it off. Again, as we're working through kind of the beginning and intros, if you still haven't had your pen, you're kind of fumbling around, digging, you have time to get everything together before we officially jump in. But welcome to our event. So this is Demystifying LGBTQIA plus, the need to know facts. And this is an event that was put together by the APTA Virginia Diversity and Inclusion Committee, as well as PT Proud, an amazing collaboration in observance of Pride Month. So we really wanted to take the time to highlight, celebrate, educate, and just open the floor for any discussions, and also the need to know facts that you might be afraid to ask or may not have been exposed to in the past. This is the place to come. This is absolutely a safe space, and we're all excited to be here and share this space with you. So first, jumping in, we want to cover the guidelines for the safe space rules. So of course, we're going to show respect. Everyone has their different experiences and opinions. We're going to respect everyone and their contributions. We're going to actively listen. You want to stay mentally and physically present. What that allow you to do will be an active participant in the conversations to be able to engage with those who are here and those who will be coming as well. Be very open to what is said. This is non-judgmental. We're all here, like I said, to learn, to discuss education, and just to become better clinicians, or even in the community to help others. And then listen again, because that'll help. So you want to speak honestly and speak from your own experiences. Anytime there's a statement made, even in the chat box, this is written or verbal, you want to use I statements, speak from your own perspective, because that goes back to respect for everyone. You want to contribute to the event goals. So number one goal is to have fun. So I hope everyone is here to have fun. So that's one of the biggest goals that you can contribute to. But also, again, ask questions, share your ideas. Don't be afraid to ask questions. So the chat box will actually be monitored during the event throughout the entire time. Feel free to drop questions. We'll be saving the questions for the end just so we can keep the flow of the event going. But please make sure if you hear something, if something pops up into your mind, whether that's earlier or later in the event or during the presentation, drop it in the chat. It won't get ignored. We're going to make sure that we're respecting everyone and actively listening to what you have to say. And then, of course, we want to be intentional with discussion. So again, aligning with the event goals, we want to make sure that we're respecting, having fun, speaking about things that are relevant to what we're discussing, but also that there's something that maybe someone else has the same question or sharing. So don't be afraid. We want this to be engaging. I know we have beautiful voices, but we love to see and hear what everyone else has to say or share. And we'll just keep rolling through there. So next, we're going to talk about who is actually putting on this event. So for those who are unfamiliar with the APTA Virginia Diversity and Inclusion Committee, we have a mission. So our mission is really to create a community through events and education similar to this that promotes inclusion, equity, awareness, and understanding. We want to impact the physical therapy profession directly in the state of Virginia, because that's where we're all based, by driving initiatives that focus on positive change and action items to elevate consciousness. So we want to inspire our clinicians to come to these events, learn, participate, volunteer, and then do the same in their respective communities, whether that's an acute care setting, whether that's an outpatient home health, the classroom, wherever it is where you're touching people, patients, clients, whoever. We want to make sure that we're doing our job to put that out there. So hopefully when you leave this event, part of that mission or the whole mission will be fulfilled. And our purpose really is to creating mentorship program. Victor is here currently present, taking the lead over that, attending job fairs, schools, church events, anything really to discuss not just the diversity and inclusion, but as physical therapists, advocating for ourselves in our profession, educating others, recruiting assistants and the regional contacts, so across the entire state of Virginia, as we're spread throughout, and then utilize our communications committee to promote efforts and needs. So that is who APTA Virginia Diversity and Inclusion Committee, that is us. So now we're gonna go into our lovely co-collaborators for this event, that is PT Proud. So PT Proud is the LGBTQ plus committee of the health policy and its administration section of the APTA, so the American Physical Therapy Association. They're an LGBTQ plus advocacy group that support equity, education, and community for LGBTQ plus patients and practitioners. So I'm sure you can see the crossover and why this is an awesome collaboration to celebrate Pride Month, but also so for us to bring our communities together to support and uplift and highlight each other. Just to go into their mission as well. So the mission of the LGBTQ plus committee is to unite PTs, PTAs, and students towards a common goal of affecting change in the profession of physical therapy through advocacy, policy, and promotion of cultural humility, competency, education. They aim to address health disparities and positively affect the healthcare experience of LGBTQIA plus patients, students, and clinicians. So they're doing the good work. We're all fighting the good fight. We're helping each other, spreading the news and the words out. And I really do appreciate everyone who is in attendance, just showing up, giving us your time and sharing this space with us. And I already said this is going to be an awesome event. So we're going to roll right into the objectives.
All right, so we are hoping during this presentation that by the end of it, you'll learn a little bit more about the history of the LGBTQIA plus community. You'll learn more about the health disparities impacting the community, learn more about current legislative policies impacting the community, and hopefully will help you develop strategies to better serve this community as well in healthcare. So we have a few activities for you today. The first one that we have is called the Coming Out Stars activity. So this is where we'll need that paper and pen in now. So go ahead on your paper, draw a big star right in the center of it. I'll give you a few moments to do that. After you draw your star, go ahead and pick a color for your star too. So of the colors you can choose from, pick either blue, purple, red, or orange. And if you've done this activity before, I still recommend participating. I've done this activity many times during different LGBTQIA plus events, and each time, depending on my life chapter and transition and the color I choose, I always learn something different. So I definitely still recommend participating, even if you've done it before. Okay, so if you drew your star, go ahead, pick your color. If you've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and start. So there's a script for this particular activity. So I'll kind of walk through it and how to fill in the star, but if I'm going too fast, feel free to tell me to slow down in the chat. All right, let's begin. Imagine that the star represents our world, with you in the center and those things or people most important to you at each point of the star. So we'll begin by writing your name in the center of the star, making it your very own star. Then pick a side of the star to begin with. Choose a friend who is very close to you, someone you care about very much, a best friend or a close friend. Write their name on this side of the star. Next, think of a community to which you belong. It could be a religious community, a neighborhood, your college, university, workplace, profession, or just a group of friends. Write the name of this group that you are a part of on the side of the star moving clockwise. Now, think of a specific family member, someone that you've always turned to for advice. Maybe this person knows how to cheer you up when you're sad. It can be anyone you consider in your family, a mother, father, aunt, or uncle, any family member who has made a large impact on your life. Please write their names on the side of the star. What job would you most like to have? It could be your boss's job or being president. Whatever your career aspiration is, write it on the next side. Lastly, what are some of your hopes and dreams? Maybe you want to be a millionaire. Maybe you want a family. Think of a few of your hopes and dreams and write them on the last side of your star. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and begin. Does anybody need more time to fill in? Go ahead and let me know in the chat if you do. Okay, awesome. For the purpose of this activity, each person is now a lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender young person about to begin the coming out process.
Make sure to avoid water where you see,
You decide that it'll be easiest to tell your friends first, since they've always been there for you in the past, and you feel they need to know. If you have a blue star, your friends have no problem with it. They have suspected it for some time now, and thank you for being honest with them. Luckily, they act no different toward you and accept you for who you are. If you have an orange or purple star, your friends are hesitant at first. They're a little irritated that you've waited so long to tell them, but you're confident that they'll soon understand that being lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender is just part of who you are. You just need to give them some time. Please fold back the side of the star, or what you can do is also kind of write a dash through if you need to, whichever you'd like to do. If you have a red star, you are met with anger and disgust. This friend who has been by your side in the past tells you that being LGBT is wrong and they can't associate with anyone like that. If you have a red star, please tear off the side and drop it to the ground, or you can draw an X on the side. And this friend is no longer a part of your life. You are now part of the more than 1/3 of LGBT youth who report losing close friends when they come out.
Stars.
With most of you having such good luck with your friends, you decide that your family probably deserves to know. So turn to your closest family member first so that it'll be a little bit easier. If you have a blue star, you are embraced by this family member. They are proud that you have decided to come out and let you know that they will always be there to support you. If you have an orange or red star, your family member rejects the thought of being related to a person who is lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. Similar to some of your friends, they are disgusted. And some of you are even thrown out of your house or even disowned. If you have an orange or red star, please tear off that side of the star, drop it to the ground, or draw an X through it. You are now one of the estimated 1.6 million homeless American youth, 20 to 40% of whom identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. If you have a purple star, the conversation doesn't go exactly how you planned. Several questions are asked as to how this could have happened, but after some lengthy discussion, this person who's close to you seems a little bit more at ease with it. Fold the star or put a dash through the side of the star, as they will be an ally, but only with time. Having told your family and friends, the wheels have started to turn, and soon members of your community begin to become aware of your sexual orientation and/or gender identity. If you have an orange star, you are met with a mixed response. Some accept you and some don't know what to think. You remain a part of the community and with time will fit in as you once did. If you have an orange star, please fold back the side or draw a dash through the side. If you have a purple or blue star, your sexual orientation is accepted by your community. They continue to embrace you like anyone else, and together you celebrate the growing diversity in your community. If you have a red star, your community reacts with hatred. They tell you that someone like you doesn't belong in their community. Those who had supported you in your times of need no longer speak to you or acknowledge you. If you have a red star, tear the side off and drop it to the ground or draw an X through it. You've heard that rumors have started circulating at work regarding your sexual orientation and/or gender identity. In the past, you made it a point to confront these rumors as soon as they began, but now you're not sure if they'll do more harm than good. If you have a blue star, your coworkers begin to approach you and let you know that they've heard rumors and they don't care. They'll support you. Your supervisors and boss react the same way, letting you know that you do excellent work and that's all that matters. If you have a red or orange star, you continue to work as though nothing is happening, ignoring the rumors that have spread throughout your workplace. One day, you arrive at work to find your office has been packed up. You're called into your boss's office and she explains to you that you are being fired. When you ask why, she tells you that lately your work has been less than satisfactory and that she had to make some cutbacks in your area. If you have a red or orange star, please tear off the side and drop it to the ground or put a dash through it or put an X through it. If you have a purple star, your workplace has become quite interesting. Everyone seems to think that you're lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, even though you haven't mentioned it to anyone or confirmed any of the rumors. Some people speak to you less, but the environment has not changed too drastically. If you have a purple star, please fold back this side or put a dash through it. Now your future lies ahead of you as an LGBT young adult. For some of you, your hopes, dreams, and wishes for the perfect life are all that remain. If you have a red star, you fall into despair. You've been met with rejection after rejection, and you find it impossible to accomplish your life goals. You become depressed, and with nowhere else to turn, many of you begin to abuse drugs and alcohol. Eventually, you feel that your life is no longer worth living. If you have a red star, please tear it up and drop the pieces to the ground. You are now part of the 40% of suicide victims who are gay or lesbian. If you have a purple, blue, or orange star, these hopes and dreams are what keep you going. Most of you have been met with some sort of rejection since your beginning of your coming out process, but you've managed to reach out for support. With the help at least one supportive person or entity in your life, you're able to find healthy ways of coping with the difficult changes. You ultimately continue to live a happy and healthy life with your personal hopes and dreams becoming a reality. And that is the end of the star activity. So I wanted to take a few moments here to let everyone kind of just reflect, and depending on the color star you have, the coming out process was very, very different. So the floor is open if anyone would like to share any aha moments, things that they felt, and also share like what color star they had. Go ahead.
I'll go. So I had the rough red star actually. And I guess for me, like just kind of seeing literally it's just me in the middle, like I'm isolated from the things that once I held dear or wanted. And I feel like it would be like very difficult to like find community, which is why I do feel like Pride Month and events and it's so important to remind those individuals that there is a community that supports, uplifts, and is there for them. But for me, it's like it's not like you don't like the same sports team, so we aren't friends. It's like, this is who I am, and just trying to wrap my head around it or put myself into the same shoes. Again, this part of the activity, but it's just so hard for me to even like just consider and understand what that feels like and feel that empathy. Like I can't even imagine. So that I'm not picking red next time if I do this activity again, but definitely was eye-opening for sure.
Thank you for sharing, Blake. Yeah, I've definitely, when I've done this before, I've also picked red, and it's leaves such an impact for you that when you get this activity again, you're like, I'm not going for the red one. Like, give me any other color. I remember what red feels like. I'm like, not this time. Yeah. Would anyone else like to share?
Well, I'll share a little bit. I was purple star, and it was just a little unfair because like my best friend and my specific family member, they would not have reacted that way that my purple star actually did. So it was, like, oh, that's terrible. I don't even get the benefit of having the people there that I would normally have. So that was sad for me.
Thank you for sharing, Dr. Friend. I feel like with that too, I'm sure like somewhere someone's experienced like having that non-acceptance from their loved one too, who they thought they could trust, which is probably even more of a betrayal. And then it's just like, where do I go to now? Like, who do I go to? So that's definitely something that, like, something to bring up too. Would anyone else like to share? Did anyone have the blue star? I think the blue star is the one that had most of the acceptance from it, from the script. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Thank you all for participating in this activity. We're going to switch it up a little bit to make it a little bit more interactive and a little bit more fun. So we're going to do the trivia activity next through Kahoot. So you'll need either your phone or your computer to get logged in and joined in on the game. So Lynette is pulling it up now. So to join, you can either scan that QR code or go to www.kahoot.it and then go ahead and put the game pin, and then you'll put your name and we'll see you pop up here as soon as you join in. And we'll wait for everyone to join before we begin.
And you don't have to put your name. You can put a nickname. However, the winner's getting a prize. So at the end, you'll have to somehow disclose that to us so we can get you your prize. The professor. Love it.
Dr. Renee, that's me.
You didn't have to disclose it if you didn't want to.
That's me.
I love it though. No, I think I just need to know when to go if everyone is on. Is everyone on that wants to play? All right. Okay, I'm gonna start it. Here we go. So we're starting on history. There's your question. What year did the U.S. Supreme Court legalize same-sex marriage for all 50 states? 2010, 2005, 2020, or 2015? "2015 is the correct answer. 5 of you got it right. That's good. Yay. And Alexis is on top so far. Good job, Alexis. All right. What was the first country to legalize same-sex marriage? Argentina, Netherlands, Portugal, or Sweden? Yes, it was Netherlands in 2001. Who's on top? Oh, the professor, Dr. Canada. All right, next up. Why is Pride Month celebrated in June in the US? To commemorate the Stonewall riots, to commemorate the creation of the Pride flag, to commemorate the end of conversion therapy, or commemorate legalization of same-sex marriage. I feel like this was on Facebook a little while ago. Yes, commemorate the Stonewall riots in 1969. Who's on top? Oh, Professor's still on top, but Stace has a streak with 3 correct answers in a row. Good job, Stace. All right, when is National Coming Out Day in the US? June 28th, March 31st, September 23rd, or October 11th? Yes, October 11th. So June 28th is Pride Day, March 31st is International Transgender Day of Visibility, and then September 23rd is Bisexuality Day. Oh, I think Dr. Canada is kicking our little heinies right now. Okay.
And I'm not cheating, trust me.
That's good. Who designed the first Pride flag? Daniel Cassar, Morgan Carpenter, Gilbert Baker, or Valentino Vecchietti? Gilbert Baker. Let's see, there's some interesting facts. Daniel Cassar was the Progress Pride flag designer. Morgan Carpenter was the intersex flag designer. And Valentino Vecchietti was the intersex inclusive flag designer. Professor's on top, but Crystal's increasing. She is climbing up. All right, who is the first openly transgender person to be elected to the House of Delegates? Yes, it was Danica Rome. And Evelyn Montilla was the America's first openly bisexual state official in 1997. All right, it's kind of the same, but Stace and Blake are kind of going back and forth. All right, which of the following is the most inclusive pride flag? Yes, it is the one. Well, I guess it would be C, the yellow one. All right, who's on top? Professor's still on top, but Stace keeps climbing up too. All right, we are moving on to some terminology. So true or false, over prejudiced comments to or about people in the LGBTQIA plus community are more harmful than microaggressions. True or false? False. False is the correct answer. All right. Best are still on top. Okay. Which of the following is the most accurate statement about the word queer? It was once a negative term, but is mostly not any longer. It remains a largely negative term. It is accepted by many LGBT people and allies, but not by all. It is popular among LGBT people, should never be used by non-LGBT people. Exactly. It is accepted by many LGBT people and allies, but not by all. All right, standings look the same. All right, what is the preferred model used when understanding LGBTQIA+ terminology such as gender expression and gender identity? Yes, the gender unicorn. It's like half and half on that one. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to move on to some health disparities. First question, percent of transgender respondents that believe they would be treated differently by medical personnel due to LGBTQ+ status. 73%, 29%, 22%, or 60%. At 73%. It's a lot. Oh, Stace is in the lead now. Nice job, Stace. All right. Percent of LGB respondents that believe they would be treated differently by medical personnel due to LGBTQ+ status. 53%, 29%, 20%, or 42%. Yes, 29%. You would think it was higher, especially considering the last number, but it's 29%. Who's on top now? Oh, it didn't change. It didn't even move. That's crazy. Okay, next one. Which group in the LGBTQIA+ community is most discriminated against in general population and in LGBTQIA+ community? Transgender, gays, bisexual, or pansexual? Yes, it would be bisexual. Right, who's on top? Oh, it still hasn't moved. Man, I feel like it's stuck. It's not really calculating a lot. An estimated percent of the transgender community are homeless due to family rejection, discrimination, and violence. 5 to 10, 10 to 30, 20 to 30, or 20 to 40. Yes, 20 to 40%. All right, let's see if it changes. Oh, that's better. All right, Professor's back on top. Okay, on to some policy questions. There's a few more questions left. I think 3 to be exact. First one, how many anti-LGBTQ+ bills were filed in 2022? 100, 200, 300, or 50? Yes, 300 were filed. Way too many. Oh, it's not really moving. That's weird. No points.
No one got it right on that last one.
I know. No points. May 5th, 2021, official Office of Civil Rights will interpret and enforce prohibitions on discrimination based on sex to include blank and blank. Sexual orientation and gender identity. All right. Alexis moved up. Professor's still on top. Okay, one last question. True or false? It is illegal for Medicaid and Medicare to deny coverage for medically necessary transition-related care. True or false? This one is true. It is illegal, but they do continue to face discriminatory denials, sadly. It's problematic. So who's on top? Who made the top? Who makes it? Oh, third place. Third place is Carol. Second place is Stace. And first place is the professor. All right, Dr. Cannon, we will get you your prize. Thank you all for playing. So I'm going to try to get out of this. Hopefully that was fun-ish and you learned something along the way. Any thoughts or comments? No thoughts or comments on it?
Dr. Renee,
Yes.
since this is a student event, I would like to give my prize to the second runner-up.
That was Stace. Was it Stace? I don't know. Stace is quiet. Well, I would be happy to do so. And if Stace can tell me who she is afterwards, that would be great. We'd love to send you a prize. Thank you so much, Dr. Canada. Well, that was fun. Well, I hope you had fun doing that. But I really do question and have questions about whether or not you had any thoughts about the questions, if you were surprised by any of them. And then also thinking about, you have that information, but how are you going to utilize that information? Is it just something you're going to tuck behind into your head and just kind of leave it be? Is it something that you think that you could help with some advocacy efforts with? Is it something that we can bring back to patient care? I think that those are all good things to think about because like the fish in Finding Dory, it always makes me laugh when I see the fish in their little bubbles. They get there and then now what? Like, what do we do after that? We just leave it there and hope that we make it to wherever we want to go, or do we all want to get together and swim away together and help each other out? So hopefully you can at least take that away and ponder that a little bit as we move on through the presentation. All right, so the next thing is on call to action and how to be an ally.
Yes, so just to follow up, like what next, what do I do, what can I do? So things that you can do and then educate and inspire others, whether that's your close friends, coworkers, communities, is to be open-minded and actively listen. So going back to the safe space guidelines for this event, you want to be someone that's a listening ear, keep an open mind, no judgment zone. You want to be respectful always. You want to use their pronouns. You want to, and that falls into the category of respect. The awesome thing about now is that whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you're able to put your pronouns everywhere. And so there should be no mistake. And don't be afraid to ask, right? So it's better to ask up front so you don't offend, and make sure you educate yourself. Don't speak for anyone. Again, safe space guidelines, transition into real life. You want to speak from your own experiences, your own perspective. You can only account for what you've lived, your lived experiences, and that doesn't take away from anyone else's, whether you've been in the same background, school, or where you grew up, or even like your work environment. Speak for yourself always, because someone could be living a very different experience than you in the same space, right? Do your research and learn more. It is not anyone's job to educate you. Educate yourself, right? You shouldn't put any more pressure or expect someone to teach you when there's so much education, resources, things you can access on your own to figure out. And if there are remaining questions, if there is anything that you're having some just lingering questions about, that's when you can open the floor and ask and come to someone respectfully, or attending events like this, or you can learn more. As far as encouraging others to participate and being an ally, serve as an example. A lot of people sometimes might not know how they can share with others. Just lead by example, do what you can do, and that might cause that ripple effect. And even if it doesn't, you're still doing what you can do. Being aware and reflect on your implicit biases. I think that this is one of the most important things that we can do, learning from your own experience and knowing and understanding that you are coming from a different background, upbringing, education system, everything. And understanding that the way that you might be approaching people is a reflection of that, even if it's not meant to be, or something that you didn't intend to happen, it still can happen because of that implicit bias that's under there. So being aware of it and then taking the action to like actively try to prevent this from happening, and just doing what you can. Don't make assumptions. Again, listen to people, be respectful, but never assume, and then speak up when you notice any microaggressions or discrimination. That bystander effect, right? Assuming that someone's going to do the right thing. So you want to make sure that if you are assuming someone else will, someone might be thinking the same thing. So step up, speak up, use your position, your privilege, whatever it is in that moment, to really make a difference for that individual, because it can have like tremendous effects on them, and you never know. And then next, just some resources as far as what you can look at when it comes to educating yourself. There is the PT Proud website. So we have the direct link there. And I believe for those who did sign up via email, we'll be able to provide you with both the slides, the website, and the PT Proud handbook, which is the intro to LGBTQ plus competency, which is an amazing resource provided by PT Proud that you should definitely take advantage of. And I think this is our portion where we're going to lead into the question segment. I think there were some that were thrown into the chat.
We do. So we do have, I'm very happy to say, we have Mel Hoffman here, Dr. Mel Hoffman with us. And I had the pleasure of working with her way back in the day. I feel like it's been way back in the day. So thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Hoffman. And I do want to give a brief introduction of you, but I will say I'm going to read your bio because it is quite impressive. And I think that I don't want to do and I won't do any favors by trying to just speak it. So I'm going to read it. So I apologize for reading, but I do think that she will provide us with a great resource right now, but then also in the future. So Dr. Hoffman has her MSPT and PhD. She's an associate professor of physical therapy at Regis University in Colorado. She teaches in areas of evidence-based practice and research and management of applied physiology. Her educational background includes a BS, MS, and PT from D'Youville College in 2000 and a PhD in research methods and statistics from University of Denver in 2016. She has 22 years of clinical experience and continues to practice as a senior PT at the University of Colorado Health. As a member of the APT, she is active in the Academy of Leadership and Innovation, Neurologic Research and Education sections. She serves as a chair to the board of the LGBTQ plus PT Proud Committee through the Academy of Leadership and Innovation of the APTA and co-chair of the APTA Colorado Chapter Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Additionally, she is a member of the Diversity Council, the Queer Resource Alliance, QRA, and the Anti-Hate Campaign Committee at Regis University. through the Office of Diversity and Inclusivity that supports efforts for marginalized communities and specifically LGBTQ plus issues and events. She has completed Brave Space training at institutional and national levels to increase awareness and dialogue about sexuality and gender specific to the LGBTQIA plus community. She's active in research and scholarship, and she serves on the Regis University Research and Scholarship Committee as a grant reviewer. Currently, she is engaged in SGM, Sexual and Gender Minority National Mixed Methods Study, examining barriers to LGBTQ plus cultural competence from clinical, academic, and patient levels. In addition to SGM research, she has presented and facilitated discussion of research centered around trauma advocacy for practitioners, patients, TBI, and stroke at local, state, and national levels. So thank you so much for joining us, Mel. I called you Mel, Dr. Hoffman. I'm so sorry, but I'm so used to calling you Mel from when we worked together. So thank you so much for being here and being part of our event. And I don't know if you want to say a few words to everyone about PT Proud and your vision for PT Proud before we get into Q&A, but I think it's really important to know that PT Proud is there as a resource for all of us.
So thanks so much, Lynette, for that awesome introduction. And you can call me Mel, that's fine. I even have my students call me Mel. At Regis, we believe in going by our first names. So we build relationships with our students and they eventually become our peers. So yes, you can call me Mel. Anybody can call me Mel. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm glad to have been able to have some time to be able to join you all this evening. Just a little background about PT Proud. So PT Proud came into existence in 2017, began as a very small catalyst group, just a few students and myself as a faculty kind of mentor in a sense, just to kind of bring them through, help to guide them through the process. But Dr. Ira Gorman was president of the health policy section at that time in the APTA, and he created that avenue for an organization such as PT Proud to have gotten started. But it was a very student-centered organization when we first, or group, I would say, when we first started. But I think, you know, in the last 5 years or so, DEI has kind of really hit the shelf and just kept on running. And so if you're not familiar with the term DEI, that's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the LGBTQ community kind of falls right into that pocket. So I think the APTA kind of grasped on, and specifically the health policy section, and said, we need to know more about this community and we don't know enough, but you do. And so really, there's nothing within the APTA like PT Proud. This is the first group of in existence within the APTA that advocates for the LGBTQ community. So this group started to grow quite rapidly.
With her dogs. Her dogs are adorable.
So this group kind of sorry, I have 5 dogs at my house. Yeah, so we started to grow quite rapidly. We got a little more exposure. We started doing some more presentations at the state and national level, and people started to know more about who PT Proud was. And so with that, we moved into a committee. So right now we are a catalyst group and a committee within the health policy section, but recently changed to the Academy of Leadership and Innovation. So the health policy section moved to an academy as of CSM 2022. So the reason we're a catalyst group and a committee is because to be a catalyst group, you can have members, but to be a committee, you can't have members. To be a committee, you can have a budget, only a budget, but no members. So right now we have members and we have a budget. So we are a catalyst group and a committee, which we've been functioning this way for about 2 or 3 years, but we're moving in the next year to become a special interest group. within the Academy of Leadership and Innovation. So really, we're functioning right now as a special interest group. We don't have that classification yet. There's a lot of structural things that you have to do to be able to move to that. But PT Proud has grown significantly, I'd say, in the last 5 years, and we are very much structured now. We have a leadership profile. So we have the chair, which is myself. Tanya Miller is the vice chair. We have a treasurer, Chris Condren, and we had a secretary that had to step out, Emily Krabuski. So we're looking for a secretary. And then we created a number of subcommittees, and that's where the membership comes in, right? So we have a membership committee, and for all of these committees, we have subcommittee chairs, subcommittee chairs. So membership, we have social media, we have profiles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We have handles on all of those. We do have a website within HPA. It's still the HPA, the Catalyst. That's the Academy's website. They're moving the health policy section website to an Academy website, but PT Proud has a website within their overall website. We have a webinar subcommittee. We have a podcast subcommittee, which is an amazing committee. And we have an advocacy committee, which has been very, very, very busy. As you know, if you've kept up with any of the legislation that's been occurring across the nation, our advocacy committee has been very busy in the last 6 months. So that's also a really great way to get involved and to really learn more about what's happening around you, right? There's so many people that we've talked to with our research that don't really know what's going on, even in their own communities or states. So PT Proud is a great resource. We do have some educational resources as well that we provide on our website. We have, as you can see, the PT Proud Competency Handbook, which is just a great resource for individuals that are starting out. It's kind of a beginner guide to all of the important things that you can know. I don't want to say you should know. We don't want to make anybody do anything, but potentially it's a great resource for you to get started. It's a great resource for an ally. I know I saw a question in there about what is the common mistakes you think people make the most when attempting to be an ally. So, and we can talk a little bit more about that, but the PT Proud Competency Handbook is a good place to really familiarize yourself with the community, the terminology, the communication, pronouns, how to create intake forms, things like that for the clinic. So that's one resource. Another resource that we've developed over the last probably 3 to 4 years was a resource where people can go and find a practitioner that is providing a safe space for care, right? So of course it's physical therapy in nature because it's housed within a physical therapy site. But we collaborated with an organization called OutCare, and they house all of our members that are committing to be a safe space for individuals to access care from their organizations or clinics, et cetera. So yeah, so PT Proud is a great way to get involved, to access resources. If you're interested in joining PT Proud, you do have to become a member of the Academy as well, because PT Proud does fall under the Academy of Leadership and Innovation. So that's just a little bit about PT Proud, kind of a lot because a lot has gone on, but we continue to advocate for our communities. Just recently at CSM in San Antonio, we worked with Thrive, which is an organization that provides resources and housing and care and access to employment and all sorts of opportunities to our transgender and our non-binary youth, particularly. So we did get with Thrive, and we created a yoga event and raised some money to donate towards Thrive. So PT Proud is always looking for opportunities to collaborate with organizations that support the community as well.
So I think maybe if people don't become Academy members, how can they best support them.
Yeah, and so, you can access the website, and there are resources on the website that you can, I believe you don't have to be a member to be able to access the website. And I wonder if I can get I think I actually have the website here I can put in the chat. Let me just see here. But I had it easily accessible. Let's see here. Take me 1 second. And I will just, once I get in here, I'll pop it into. There we go. Be proud. Right. And I'll pop it into the chat, the link. And there you are.
As she's doing that, if anyone has questions, please don't be afraid to put them in the chat. I would love to hear your questions. I don't know if we answered the questions, Kathy, that came up.
So there was one, we can start from the beginning. So Sonia asked a question. Her question was, I have a friend who I've asked what name they would like to go by, and they said, whatever you want. I go by what I am used to. Any thoughts on that? So Mel, I was wondering if you have any thoughts in your experience and everything.
Well, I would honestly just say, well, what do you go by? What are you used to? That would be the first, like any conversation. The conversation really shouldn't change. That makes it awkward, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really want to make it a big deal. I'll give you an example. I met somebody, we were on vacation about 1.5 years ago in Ireland, actually. And I met an individual that when I saw the person, I assumed that the individual was transgender, but I didn't really know, right? So we never want to approach somebody and assume their gender. And so for me, there were a few, I was with my wife, so it was a comfortable situation. And I think this other individual actually felt comfortable as well. And so we struck up a conversation and we started talking. And, we exchanged, I asked the person their name, they told me their name, and then I asked them their pronouns because I just wanted to get it out there, right? And they told me how they identified, and they identified as she, her, right? So they didn't say that they identified as transgender. They said they identified as she, her. And so that's just a great way, kind of an easy way. If somebody says, I go by what I'm used to, I would probably just say, well, what are you used to? Right? Is what you're used to, what you prefer to be called? What do you prefer I call you? Right? That's not going to be an awkward situation. You're just really just trying to ascertain, how should I address you? Was there an awkwardness to that for some reason?
Sonia, you can clarify if you need to, or if you feel like that answered your question, you can let us know too.
Hey guys, thank you for answering that. There was no awkwardness with my friend. It was just more so, they kind of left it up to me of like, well, whatever you want to call me. And I was just like, okay, well, I'll call you what I know. And so then later on, I felt kind of bad because I was like, I just make that about myself. So that was like kind of my question of like, should I follow up on that? And I think you did kind of answer something that I could follow back up on, which is which pronouns that they like to be called was something I did not ask.
Yeah, it actually, that question for me, my wife was like, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm just going to ask their pronouns because I don't know. And you should never assume that somebody identifies a certain way, right? And yeah, I may have thought that that person was transgender and they were indeed transgender, but they didn't identify as transgender to me. They identified as she, her. And so you want to be respectful of the way that people prefer to be identified. And so that's just an easy way. They're doing that now all over the place. People are signing with their pronouns in their email signatures. I know a lot of healthcare organizations are actually putting pronouns on name tags, which is just an awesome way. Just an awesome way as well to get it out in the open, make people comfortable, especially when you're treating patients like in a clinic or in a hospital. Sometimes, that conversation can be awkward, right? And so that's just a really good way for them to see that you have pronouns. So then they see, oh, well, this person, maybe has some knowledge, and that'll make them a little more comfortable to share with you a little bit more.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
There's another question in the chat from Alexis. What is a common mistake you think people make the most when attempting to be an ally?
So I think one of the biggest mistakes is that people try too hard, right? I mean, it's quite obvious sometimes that they try too hard. The other thing is people get really upset about, if they make a mistake, and that, oh, I'm so sorry, and I can't believe I did that, and so that actually makes the other person feel like they have a job to educate you now and to feel bad that you made that mistake. When in actuality, the best thing that you can do is say, I'm sorry, and correct the mistake that you made. Maybe you misgendered them, right? Maybe you used the wrong identity. If they prefer to be a he, him, and you called them a she, her in some way, just correct it and just move on. And there's more appreciation behind that than not making the other person have to take that toll on of making you feel better, right, about it. So, so I think that's one big thing. That's a common mistake for when people are trying to be an ally. But I think overall, individuals that are part of this community understand that allies are not perfect, and they appreciate and love individuals so much for their support. So we don't want to say, oh, we don't want to make it a derogatory or negative thing, because we want individuals to support our communities, and individuals within the community appreciate that support.
Awesome. Thank you, Mel. Does anyone else have any questions that they would like to ask? Let's see, Victor put one in the chat. He said, healthcare organizations are starting to provide specialty care for the LGBTQIA+ community. Is it respectful to offer these services to clients?
I think that it's respectful to offer those services to clients if they have openly identified themselves as part of that community. So there are a lot of organizations that support the LGBTQ community. There are a lot of hospital organizations that are developing gender affirmation surgery programs. So if an individual, comes to me and they don't have a program such as that, and they do identify as transgender, and they are, for instance, getting hormone replacement therapy, and they are interested in a gender affirmation surgery program, that would be a good time to be able to say, hey, here's some resources, here's some organizations that provide these. But I think unless somebody is openly identifying themselves, you may go into a medical record and you may see that that person identifies as part of the LGBTQ community, but you don't want to make assumptions that they want you to offer services to them. So it really should be something that they kind of initiate the conversation and ask for. And then, of course, you can refer them to those resources. But I think one of the first things and foremost in any healthcare organization, whether that be inpatient or outpatient, is really learn about this community and understand this community, because, you know, we, through our research, we've started talking to patients this summer, through the spring into the summer, that identify as part of the community. And one of the worst things, worst experiences that they have found is that they thought they were going to an LGBTQ inclusive organization, and they honestly felt really safe and comfortable through the experience of being in the waiting room, filling out intake paperwork, to the point where they actually got into the back and started dealing with the actual therapist who knew nothing about their community, right? So you can make your organization as inclusive as you want, from the waiting room and the setting and having a transgender bathroom or a gender neutral bathroom. But if your employees and healthcare practitioners don't know the knowledge needed to treat these individuals, it's going to break down. And what's going to happen is those individuals are either not going to divulge who they are or anything about themselves because they don't feel safe, or they're never going to come back. Those are the two options in that situation. So, you know, it's important to create an inclusive environment within your clinic or your hospital setting, but it's also important to educate yourself on the appropriate cultural competence around treating individuals from that community as well. So what language to use, what pronouns are appropriate, how do individuals refer to certain body parts? There are a number of transgender individuals that suffer from dysphoria, right? So they don't like themselves or how they look when they look in the mirror. These body parts are not part of who they are within their own identity. So the individuals that are really on top of it, if you really want to get some, if you're interested in treating individuals that have had gender affirmation surgery, or you're interested in pelvic health, there's a number of pelvic health physical therapists out there in the community right now. You can find them in groups on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. They are fantastic. They're a wealth of knowledge around how you approach conversations about individuals' bodies when it relates to the LGBTQ community. We probably have some of those within our resources within OutCare on our website. I myself have learned so much from pelvic health therapists in that regard.
Does that mean you're going into pelvic health?
No. But it is important for me, you know, being in, you know, my research is around sexual and gender minority research. So I'm specifically working with the LGBTQ community and for the LGBTQ community. That's who I'm advocating for in my research. But I'm also doing research on gender affirmation surgery. So it's really important for me to understand the information that I need to know about the community, about the procedures, how they're done, what programs are out there, what kind of rehab course do they get before and after these surgical programs. We're actually in process of publishing a narrative review right now with Transgender Health. One of my students and I are publishing this narrative review, and it's basically looking at how pelvic health physical therapy can be incorporated into individuals' physical therapy program post-vaginoplasty. So Transgender Health is publishing that paper. Once it's published, I can send send Lynette the link. We're actually starting another study this summer, working with Christina Holland, who is a pretty well-known pelvic health physical therapist here in Colorado, and working with Laurel Pro, who also is a pelvic health physical therapist, who is a professor at Regis as well. We're collaborating with the University of Colorado Health and their gender affirmation surgery program. And we're creating an educational segment that individuals will get prior to their vaginoplasty procedure. And we'll be looking at what their outcomes look like. So those individuals, what their outcomes look like versus individuals that didn't receive that specialized education. So really kind of getting on the bandwagon of research around gender affirmation surgery, as well as many other research endeavors. But it's good. It's 100% necessary.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mel? All right, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for coming out and learning this Tuesday night. And then thank you, Mel, for coming through and answering all of our questions. We definitely could not have done it without you. So we definitely appreciate all of your experience, all of your advice. Been such a great resource, learning more about the community and getting this presentation for folks. So thank you to everyone. If you need to contact us, if you need our information, we can send that out too. But if you would like the PowerPoint and the resources from the slides today, and you didn't RSVP, feel free to leave your email in the chat here and we'll send it out tonight for everyone so you can have that as a resource, because the PT Proud website has a lot of amazing webinars and that PT directory Mel was talking about, and then also the PT handbook on there. So let us know. And yeah, thank you all, and we hope you have a great night.